yes, legends, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing great. Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. Make sure to smash up that like button on your way in. How are you doing, guys? Hope you're doing great. We can see Bitcoin getting a nice little pump throughout the last few hours. Are we going to go to much higher prices? Let me know in the poll that has been created, guys. It does look like we're getting some pumpy action here. Is it legit? Do we go to higher prices? We're going to talk about the levels, the Elliot wave theory scenarios, and take into consideration, of course, how high can we go? Let's go and say hello to the beautiful community right away. Let me know if the music is too loud, you can hear me correctly. And let's say hello to the wonderful legends. Make sure to get your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, and we're analyzing the situation here all together. Hello, Andy. What's up? Axie Kuno, how are you doing? I say it's higher highs back to 64K retest. Make sure to get your votes in so we can see here what are people thinking about this momentum to the upside. Do we go to much higher levels? Are we about to top out? Or it's topping soon? We go way higher, 30%. No, 74, 75K max, then down. That 74, 75K region is without a doubt very, very interesting. Lots of resistance in that zone. We're going to be talking about it right away. What scenarios do we have here, right? If it is going to be bullish, right, we want to finish some pretty strong impulsive moves to the upside, high volume, breaking out. What is curious about this is that we did manage, looking at the daily time frame, get back above the value area high of 2024's price action. As we can see here, we do have that value area high. We kind of popped out from it. So looks like it wants to attempt to leave this region, right? We got inside here of this value zone, getting a bit of resistance throughout the last couple of weeks, and now we're popping out. So is it legit? Is it strong? Are we going to higher prices? Let's analyze the situation here all together. On the mid time frame, lower time frame, eager to get into a short position. Okay, it does look nice to start looking for short positions, I have to say. Okay, maybe a little squeezed in little short position here as a swing could be possible. We'll be doing the lower time frame analysis right away, guys. Okay, let's stick in here with the lower time frame based on this price action that we got to the upside, right? Do we start an impulsive move to the upside here? What combinations do we have? What are the levels of resistance? First of all, one major level that I like very, very much, which needs to be talked about, is the anchored VWAP from $98,000, which we are very close from. Anchored VWAP is such a great level. Okay, we can give you an example here of a major higher time frame rejection at the anchored VWAP, right, from a major pivot high. We are coming very, very close. Let me just get this right, okay, because it's important that we actually get the pivot high here. Okay, pivot high is taken. When was the last time that we got a rejection from an anchored VWAP from a major pivot high? Well, look no further, right? When we do zoom out, okay, on the daily time frame, and we do take a look at the anchored VWAP from all-time high, that is where we did get rejected right over here. This was back in January at $98,000, barely missed $98,000. Anchored VWAP from all-time high, basically. So it's the highest pivot, and we did get rejected right over here. Our next major lower high pivot is $98,000. And we can get some combinations here of to see what is going on with Elliot wave theory, basically very locally here. But that anchored VWAP is looking very juicy. I mean, if you would have got into the swing failure pattern, we would say, from that anchored VWAP, all right, from $98,000, we need to remember that we are still in a bear market. Okay, we're getting excited with this pump. I can see a lot of excitement. Short squeeze, up we go to 80K. I have my doubts eventually, right? I remember this pump over here. A lot of people were talking about 100K, 102K plus. We never got there, guys. We never got there. So beautiful swing failure pattern, basically a failed breakout from the anchored VWAP that we had in January. So if you would have treated this as a failed breakout, right, you enter beneath the anchored VWAP as you get that wick. I mean, look no further, right? This really just nuked down. Can we have something similar here at this anchored VWAP, right, from the second pivot lower high? It's something that we can definitely consider. That's especially when we use the combination of Elliott wave theory here to understand the potential of this being a three-wave structure to the upside, which I am very much in favor of. I'm very much in favor of this situation. We do have this kind of daily order block right over here, okay, which is also the lows of that pivot. Look at this green candle here in the middle. When we take a look at that pivot low, that is coming round about the anchored VWAP. That is sitting at 74.5k. Anchored VWAP, that pivot low from this consolidation zone, right, where we were bouncing consistently here throughout February, the first week of February. As we can see, we had many bounces in this territory. So it will become likely a strong level of resistance. Can we stretch our legs up there? Can we stretch our legs up there here on the lower time frame? This is what we are going to discuss, legends, right away. There was a nice little SFP from a pivot here, which was pretty good. Quick attempt. It did swing failure pattern. You need to stay defensive on these pivots, right? We had the pivot high here from the 8th, 9th of February. I think it was 8th or 9th of February right there. And we can see how we created that little quick swing failure pattern when we do go to the lower time frame. So it did actually reject. Very valid short entry. You know, this was already making a 1.5 risk reward. Once you get that wick above, stop loss at the high, you get a movement down, almost making a 2-to-1 risk reward. You want to be very defensive in this one, right? Take some profits. But it did swing failure pattern. However, it did not get continuation to the downside, breaking back above. So obviously you're not interested in being in this short position because it's a failed swing failure pattern from that major pivot high of the range. So as we're trading above it, looks like momentum wants to continue to the upside. Our next big major zone of resistance is going to be that anchored VWAP. Eventually, anchored VWAP does look very juicy indeed. All right, which is sitting at 73.5, and that's a level that I would be paying attention. When we do combine Elliott wave theory with this momentum, especially with the latest momentum to the upside of the last few days, there is very much that possibility still that the range continues. Now we are attempting to break above the range, so let's see what price does. Okay, we're going to talk about the signs of weakness, when it's going to be looking very good for the price to move lower, and if not, we just continue the pump and, you know, break through the resistance levels if they do not get any reaction for the rejection. So far we are above the range highs. We attempted a swing failure pattern from here. It got a little rejection of about $700-800 from that pivot high, and now we are above. Hang on a minute, let's see if we can get that. And now we're trading above it. Okay, so far we don't have an extreme amount of levels of resistance where we are at the moment, at least on my chart. No daily levels, no weekly levels. We got a naked point of control slightly above us, which is at 73.44. That's from a little consolidation that we do have right over here. So if we do get the session volume profile, we will see that right over here in this zone we do have that high volume node that was not tapped. There's a high volume node right there just at 73.4k. So there's a big high volume node here from this consolidation that's kind of in confluence with the anchored VWAP. Very, very interesting zone. I would be very happy to attempt a failed breakout SFP kind of situation, a fake out of the anchored VWAP to get into that short position. Let's see if we do get that movement to the upside on stream, because we might get that on stream as we are pumping. That is the major level that I'm eyeing at the moment. And taking into consideration the lower time frames, this is what is very, very interesting. Okay, lower time frames is what we're going to cover in today's stream. All right, so yeah, make sure to stay tuned on that right away. Let me just get the levels out of the way. Let's start off with a bit of Elliott wave theory. Let's talk about the bullish case scenario, eventually getting that continuation to the upside, and the bearish one naturally, which is rejecting at some point in this zone, as a lot of voters have here inside of the poll, right? Is this pump legit? Do we go to higher prices? No, 74 to 75k max, then down. I am in this camp as well, guys. I am in this camp. All right, for the moment, we broke above the range highs. There's not much resistance here till we get to 73.5k zone, 73.4. We've got naked point of control, anchored VWAP. That's a zone where I would be really attempting a short position, which we might get on the live stream, okay? We might get on the live stream, so that's going to be pretty cool to see. And a lot of people are voting here. I have my doubts, guys. I have my doubts when there's so many votes on a possible scenario here, on a level of rejection. I have my doubts. I do have my doubts. Not very cool to see so many people in favor of that rejection at that zone, but we'll see, right? We're coming up into that territory here. Very likely we will get it on stream. Let's see if we do get that, you know, rejection at the anchored VWAP. Would be happy to attempt that short only if we do reject from the anchored VWAP. We're going to give a little bit of room for stop loss, and this is like trying to mirror the situation that we had from the anchored VWAP that we had our all-time high. Okay, we need to remember, of course, I know it's all good and nice and it looks very bullish, we're going to go to 80k. However, you know, this has very much still the potential of being a corrective move. Okay, also similar to this, right? This was a corrective move. We ended up rolling over later on. Is this also a three-wave corrective move to the upside? Maybe unfinished, okay, as well. The range could continue, but could it be similar? You get above the range highs. We are getting above the range highs that we had. This was 72k. It's breaking up at the moment. We're claiming that liquidity. It's a zone where it looks interesting for shorts, I can tell you that. Managing risk as well, of course, this is where I'm going to attempt it at the potential anchored VWAP rejection. Looking at a similar, taking Elliott wave theory out of the way here, of course. We'll get to Elliott wave theory just later on now in the next coming minutes. But can we see something similar? Anchored VWAP, big move down, of course. Three-wave structure, get above the highs of the range, then rejection. Move down, rangy structure, good chance that it can be corrective. Getting to the range highs, breaking above the range highs at 72.2k. Anchored VWAP just a few $100s away. Can we mirror this scenario? And looking at Elliott wave theory, it does look pretty damn okay for this to be a corrective structure. We'll be breaking down the Elliott wave scenarios right away, guys. Just wanted to point out that anchored VWAP similarity here from here, right? However, in a lower time frame scale, basically, right? And we'll be diving in right now to check this pump. We need to get that anchored VWAP on the chart. Okay, so we do not miss the possible rejection from anchored VWAP from 98k. We missed 98k by a few $100s, a couple of $100s. This was back in the 14th of January. So let me just make sure that we got that anchored VWAP from the exact high. We are likely going to be coming up on stream to that level. We're very close in hitting that level at the moment. Volume not massively increasing. Volume not increasing that much here. So the bulls are going to have, they're going to have to, you know, get volume increasing if they want to break that anchored VWAP with success. Got that naked point of control as well. From this zone, a lot of lows at the 74.5k region, So, you know, this could be a fake out territory. This could be a fake out territory. Let's see how we get up into that level. And let's see if it is going to be worth executing that trade. Okay, first of all, before we're talking about any trades and any scenarios, okay, quick disclaimer, of course, this content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision, legends. Okay, so let's wait patiently for that naked point of control and the anchored VWAP, which I do believe it's going to be hit on stream. Okay, let's see if we do get it hit on stream. We've got some order blocks here, 12-hour daily. It is a little bit of a cluster here because of this consolidation. Let's go with the Elliot wave theory scenarios. Of course, the most bullish one would be that we are developing a wave 3. Let me just get the naked point of control out of the way. And let's discuss here, of course, the Elliot wave scenarios. Okay, for the moment, we're breaking above the range highs over here, claiming that liquidity. That liquidity is being claimed throughout the last couple of days. Okay, so we are squeezing that liquidity here in the last 24 hours. So it is claiming lots of liquidity. Volume is decreasing as we get the momentum to the upside. Not that we have massive amount of volume here. So I'm very interested in that possible rejection here. I need to see the price hitting that naked point of control and the anchored VWAP at 73.5k zone. Okay, we're just a few $100s away from it. Let's see if we do get that reaction. Bullish case scenario, we break out and it just continues to the upside. Volume increases, right? And it just moves up. Then obviously I need to sit on my hands, right? We are reactionary traders, okay? So if there's no reaction here and we just break above, there's nothing to do here with the short, basically. Okay, so we're going to go through the Elliot wave scenarios here, but yeah, we can cover them still. All right, we can still cover them as we do move up into this zone. It is pumping, getting very close to that anchored VWAP of 98k. It's going to be hit very soon. Yeah, we'll be covering the lower time frame Elliot wave scenarios as well, but just patiently waiting for this to be hit, getting above point of control. So do we blast off from this level? I need that rejection from the anchored VWAP. That's at least my strategy here that I'm looking for, and so far it is going to be hit. Right now it's pumping nicely. It does want to pump. It wants to show some steam. Volume not increasing massively from that breakout, I have to say, as of yet. From the pivot high that we got from the range here at 72.2k. Volume is not, you want to see a pretty solid breakout with volume, a bit more punchy here, preferably, to get that continuation. We can see that you got some lower highs here in volume as you break above this pivot high of the range. Let's see. Not quite hitting the anchored VWAP as of yet. Yeah, let's cover the Elliot wave scenarios here. Price is pumping at the moment, not hitting anchored VWAP. So let's cover the the Elliot wave scenarios, but this is an interesting area, that is for sure. I would like to see that pump into 74k potentially and get beneath the anchored VWAP. That would be my trigger for this position, guys. That's for me, okay? That's my personal trade setup to get the rejection. Let's go right away through the Elliot wave scenarios. Just eager here because we are just at, you know, below the anchored VWAP. I think I don't want to get too distracted here. However, would be treating this as a potential swing, okay? So it could still chop around in this zone. There's really no major rush. Let's see how the price does break above. If it does, at that anchored VWAP, a front run would be a little bit, you know, if we started rejecting here very aggressively, a couple of $1,000, I don't want to see a front run. Preferably we don't see a front run. We get above it, get below it. That would be my trigger. Anyway, quickly say hello here through the comment section. Over 500 people watching at the moment. Make sure to smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content. Tell me the instrument song you play in the beginning. I love it, thanks. It is from, you can probably Shazam it. You can probably Shazam it, but it's from Epidemic Sounds. Okay, this is royalty-free music, all right, for YouTube or any content creators, basically. I am shorting now, stranger danger. Distance music, much love. Yeah, stay cautious, manage risk as always. Nico Soapy, much love. Thanks for joining the stream. We got Baby Genius here. Also, much love, my man. Thanks for joining. Anchored VWAP from the top. A bounce from that is my short entry if it's respected. Yeah, we're coming in into that zone. Now, in the next coming minutes, I would not want to see a front run if it rejects from here. I would have to be a little bit pissed off. But anyway, front runs do happen. But let's see if we do get that wick above. Let's cover the Elliot wave scenarios here. We'll leave the anchored VWAP. Volume is decreasing and I don't see much volume here. Doesn't look extremely powerful for the moment. Obviously that could change, breaking anchored VWAP and just volume increasing, pumping a few $1,000s. It could definitely change. So we'll be paying attention to that. Bullish case scenario here for the price of Bitcoin. Let's cover it right away. This would be this movement to the upside that we have from the lows at $60,000 all the way up here to this wick high, range high 72.2k. We do see this as the potential wave 1 or wave A. Okay. Then the higher low, the next higher low from this pivot is right over here. Just paying attention to the price action here, guys, as we do get up. So we're doing both things here at the same time. I would treat this as a swing, okay? I would go in with a, basically if I'm going to get in here on a short, I'm treating it as a swing, because overall, if this is going to be a three-wave structure, or the correction extends, which has a possibility, you could move down and then move up and then move down. I'm treating it as a swing, okay? There will always be time to add to the position for myself. I'm only talking about my strategy here and what I would be looking for on this swing trade. This could take a couple of weeks to develop. Something very similar that happened back here, right? I entered a very, very small short position at the 97k region, okay? Understanding, yes, that we are looking for that double zigzag, right? I entered a small position. The moment I understood that this was corrective is where I added to the position and then looking to claim sub $80,000. I will treat this zone as the same way. I'm going to basically use the same swing trade strategy here, where I'm entering a smaller position. I'm going to give a few $1,000s space as stop loss. And if the price does reject with power, then naturally, I will be looking for this to be a corrective structure to add significantly to my short position to then claim $60,000. So, you know, that's how I'm going to approach this. It doesn't mean I'm bearish, I'm extreme short right now, I'm going all in, I'm going to get wrecked. It's all about managing the situation and understanding where you have the weakness. Of course, catching the ultimate high for a short is all good and nice, but what if it is bullish? You know, there is a bullish count, so this is what we're going to cover at the moment, and that would be this movement to the upside being a wave 1, right? What if this is a wave 1? And not favoring this scenario too much, okay? Then of course we got wave 2 or wave B. That's, you know, your last higher low basically from this pivot. So yeah, what if this is wave 1, this is wave 2? There are a few ways that we can did we actually tap? We didn't quite tap the anchored VWAP. Maybe on another exchange we have done so. We're just sitting right there at the anchored VWAP. Beneath it, bullish case scenario. Bullish case scenario is looking at this movement to the upside as a wave 1. There's no other way of looking at really here. We got the wave 1 here, or wave A, wave 2, and wave B. This being another wave 1 over here, right, from the lower time frame. And there's a few ways how you can look at this. There is a few ways. Naturally getting the wave 3, 4, and 5. Your wave 2, this one right over here, it is true that you can put it right there, and you got a couple of 1-2s, 1 2 1 2 3. You create your 4 and your 5, your 4 and your 5, right? You break out from the anchored VWAP, you break from the local resistance levels. Then you form your 4th wave and then your 5th wave. Of course, you know, with that potential going to the 80K levels, right? Or slightly below. That would be to finish naturally that wave 3. Yes, there is that possibility of this happening. There is another way of putting your wave 2 here, and that would be a running flat, okay? Where you have your 3 wave down, 3 wave up, and a quick move down to finish your C wave, right, in a running flat, okay? This structure right over here would be that running flat situation. If that is so, then your wave 3 is breaking out from this pivot, right over here. What you want to see, of course, is that move up, volume increasing, and then naturally your wave 4 and your wave 5 later on. That's to finish your wave 3, of course, right? Because it's 1 2, and then you have 1 2 3 4 5. Finish your wave 3, shallow pullback, then wave 5. As mentioned, I'm not too in favor of the bullish case scenario, guys. I'm not in favor very much of this being extremely bullish. But it's possible still, right? You know, you end up breaking up and you're forming, you know, that momentum to the upside after your wave 3 is finished with the 4 5s, and it just creates that impulse. Now, the other scenarios that I like very much, of course, you do have the possibility of wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. Instead of continuing that impulse and forming 4 5s here, you're looking for the C wave, right? Instead of a wave 3, then your wave 4, and then your wave 5 that goes higher naturally. Your wave 3 is a wave C in that case. In that scenario, we would want to see a 4th wave and then a 5th wave to possibly finish a C wave, right? A, B, and C. Because you want to have 1 2 3 4 5 waves inside of that C wave. Now, front running that anchored VWAP at the moment, I'm going to be pissed off if we do reject strongly from here, guys. We missed it by a hair, but that would have been my trigger, at least for me. They do front run, but you know, this would have been my trigger. Get above the anchored VWAP, entry, stop loss. And we front runned it by yeah, basically a few dollars. Yeah, it is going to be what it is if we do reject strongly from here. Let's see if we do get that tap into it now in the next coming minutes. We've got distance music already saying I'm going short. You know, screw that. Want to catch the high. If you can manage risk, you know, you can always give a bit of room for stop loss, you know, lower the percentage of the risk management. And if the price does decide to reject strongly and then start bouncing in a very corrective structure, there's always going to be time to add to the position safely and, you know, get into a bigger position naturally to look to tackle $60,000 in the next coming weeks. Okay, so this is a swing trade mentality, okay, game that, you know, basically explaining here on you know, it is true that preferably if we are forming that wave 3 here, it does punch to higher levels for an impulse. However, if you do correct in this zone and you overlap this pivot, then you're invalidating an impulse, right? You're invalidating a 5-wave impulsive move to the upside. So what you would want to look for here on this other scenario, remember this would be looking for that either 3 or C wave. Obviously you know, in this case a 3 is not possible because we're going to talk about a ending diagonal, but it could be possible still that if we do retrace from here, right, and we overlap this pivot, if it does get that bounce to get to the highs again, we could be looking for an ending diagonal. This would be even, you know, this would be actually really, really nice. This would actually be quite nice to see here. Your wave 2 would have to be this one, by the way, because you can't have a flat. This would be the scenario that could be looking very interesting. So you have your, that is if we overlap this pivot at 69.9k, and then we get the bounce and we tackle the highs again. You know, if we were to get that pullback that overlaps this pivot and then gets the bounce again to get above this high, I would be looking at this ending diagonal. Wave A, wave B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ending diagonal, and then look for the movement down. So naturally, if we do get a big pullback right now of a few $1,000s, overlap this pivot, if the bounce happens in this territory and gets above the pivot high created today, that's the moment that I would be looking for that double top. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I would be looking for a ABC ending diagonal in that C wave. So that would be my short trigger anyway. And treating this as a swing, treating this as a potential swing that could take several weeks eventually to develop, right? This is the 1 hourly time frame. Zooming out a little bit, might take a week, might take a couple of weeks. But overall, depending on how the price action wants to reject and how strong it wants to be. But that's you know, another scenario here. Just in case, right? The price overlaps 69.9k, and if it does get that bounce and tackles the highs again, I would be looking for that double top. Okay, anchored VWAP, same thing, looking for that wave 5 and looking for the rejection for that trade setup. That is, there's time for that. Okay, this doesn't mean that I'm in a short right now. It's just a pattern that we could detect throughout the next coming days. Okay, so other scenarios, of course, we do have them. Bullish case scenario is, as explained, we continue, guys, here, right? We got a little rejection at the moment. Let's just say that this is a shallow pullback. We'll go through the lower time frames right away, and then volume starts kicking in here in the next coming hours. And, you know, we literally break to 75, 76k. And, you know, that would be the strongest third wave situation here, right? Where you have that wave 3. Then you're looking for that wave 4 and then the wave 5, right? A little bit more punchy in that case. So it's still, you know, want to be a little bit patient here. for this scenario. Anyway, let's cover the possibilities of if we were to get a strong rejection from here already. There's no 4 5s, right? Hey, you said that, you know, we could be looking for a 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? For that A, B, C, or that 1 2 3, right? If it is a third wave, you're looking for a fourth, very corrective structure and take out the highs again. What if we were to reject from here very strongly? There is no 4 5s. What could we be looking at, right? That's the most important question. What are we looking at if we do not create that fourth wave and that fifth wave? What are the other scenarios? The other scenarios is that we are extending the range, okay? That we could be extending the range and we have a more complex WXY situation here. Still possible for the moment. The price is pumping, it is moving up, we're breaking levels of resistance, we're getting above the range highs, so it's not all you know, all too bearish as of yet, right? So breaking above the range highs successfully and still getting the momentum to the upside. Let's see if that anchored VWAP is hit on stream. Would be nice. Let's go with the sideways WXY situation, which is basically you form a zigzag move to the upside here in your wave W, okay? Your wave X would be finished here. There is several ways, all right, of counting this wave X. You can fit in a triangle from this height, okay? There is a possibility of fitting a triangle, okay? You got your wave A, your wave B, C, D, and E right there, and then your movement starts from here, right? And your wave Y is something that we're going to map out now in the next coming minutes. There is another way to form your wave X. It doesn't need to be a triangle. It could actually be a WXY on its own, where you basically have a 3 wave down in a wave W, your wave X, and then your wave Y is a triangle on its own here, right? You got your A, B, C, D, E. It doesn't really matter which one it is. You're literally finishing your X right over here. So if that is the end of the wave X and the impulse starts from this pivot, what we could be looking at is a 3-wave structure to maybe form an A wave, right? From this pivot, for the moment, we only have a 3-wave move to the upside from this wave X. You got the pump here. Okay, this was back on Monday. Wave B, just a zigzag with your C wave being a little bit punchy. When we do get the Fibonacci extension from this, we can see that we are literally hitting the common target zone, all right, for your C wave. 1236, 1382, 1.618 is uncommon for a wave C. So this could be a 3-wave structure. If we have that 3-wave structure to the upside, that's what we want to see eventually in a corrective move. What we could be forming is a flat. Flat is one option, okay, where you have the 3-wave move in your A wave and you get your 3-wave move down in your B wave, and then you get another punchy move to the upside in a C wave. That's to form your Y wave. Still a complex WXY, which is, you know, just going sideways. It's going up, it's going down. It looks like it's going to break down, then it comes back up, right? Just confusing a lot of people. It's one of the scenarios that is still very much available. It is very possible still for this to happen. Naturally, this is just going to be confusing, big rejection. You know, you might get people shorting late, then you get the pump up, right? It's just going to be a little bit of a wrecked city situation if people thinking we're breaking it and then it's bullish and longing, or people shorting as we move down, and it just forms a flat structure, okay? So that is literally, you know, just for anybody that is curious out of the WXY sideways situation, it would be yeah, we don't have one with a flat here. This one ends up with a triangle, but instead of your Y wave being a triangle, then it, you know, which could still form a triangle, it could be a flat. Okay, in a sideways WXY, your Y wave can be either a triangle or a flat, and that is something that could still develop here throughout the next coming days. Okay, do we have other scenarios? We literally don't. It's either the bullish one, the bearish one, which is still forming a sideways WXY, and yeah, bullish one is getting continuation. We do have the ending diagonal, which is very much a possibility still. Very much a possibility where you do get that rejection from this zone, and then you spike up again. Ending diagonal for that ABC, something that we want to pay attention throughout the next coming days. And if we do reject from here strongly, it could form that sideways, okay, WXY, where you have your W here in a zigzag, your wave X finishing here in a triangle, regardless if it's triangle or the WXY, and then the triangle on Y. And then here you have a 3-wave move up, 3-wave move down. You get a, possible either running flat or regular flat that takes out the highs again and then rolls down. So, yeah, very much in favor of more the bearish case scenario. Oh, we are getting that rejection here. We basically missed out. There was a naked point of control here. Could have treated that naked point of control as a SFP. So we literally just tapped that naked point of control. Naked point of controls can be treated also as kind of an SFP level. We've got that nice little high volume node from the 4th of February, that is. That high volume node on the 4th of February which is naked because we did open a few days later. That is the level that is getting rejected at the moment here for Bitcoin. We missed out ever so slightly by a few dollars, front running that anchored VWAP. But, we like swing failure patterns and we like the rejections of the levels. I would say that you could have treated that naked point of control as it like an SFP level. Get above that naked point. I mean, I was mainly focused on the anchored VWAP. We're so close to that anchored VWAP to be hit, but that naked point of control is doing its job as the rejection at the moment. So very valid as well as an entry. Stop loss at the high. If you were to get stopped out here, I would consider that re-enter at the anchored VWAP. It's just such a big cluster of resistance already in this territory. Yeah, I think it's time to go through a lower time frame to understand the signs of weakness here. If we start moving down to lower levels, where it will be looking weak for Bitcoin, of course. So let's just cover that here on the 15-minute time frame, and let's go with the latest move to the upside. Okay, let's remember here that ABC. Yeah, this is the pivot. This zone right over here is the one that has the possibility. Remember that triangle that I was explaining a few minutes ago, that has the potential of being the end, right, of that wave X, right, when we zoom out. So it's this pivot right over here. So the waves that become very interesting is from these lows, okay? From these lows, it's where it becomes very interesting to analyze the momentum and the waves. This could be a 3-wave move. It could be a 3-wave move coming to its topping range here, and we start rolling over pretty aggressively. We are at resistance, so we got that naked point of control at 73.4, which is currently where it is rejecting. Anchored VWAP missed by a few dollars. So it is an interesting zone of rejection. We're already getting that reaction here on the lower time frame. as explained, if this is going to be the low of that wave X, okay, doesn't matter which low here really, and we have this movement up, the correction, and then this movement to the upside, where it becomes interesting here to analyze the waves is from this pivot. So bullish case scenario to finish a possible, you know, impulsive move here in that wave C. So, you know, let's go with the bearish case first of all, which is looking at this as your A wave, this your B wave right over here, and then this your C wave right there. That could be coming to its end stages, right? Maybe one more shallow pullback and then take out the highs again. You know, double tops here would be very, very interesting. If we do create that shallow rangy structure here where the rejection is corrective and then we take out the high again, I'm very interested. Anchored VWAP, double top, naked point of control, extremely interested here in a double top. If we do not reject strongly, right? Or if we do come up from here, then even better, because I would be looking for that SFP from the anchored VWAP naturally. But if we were to create a shallow pullback without getting into this pivot, you know, I would really treat the possibility here of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to then finish that C wave here. Okay, so yeah, a double top here would be really good. Remember, all of this, you know, this scenario, talking about this ABC movement right over here, is taking into consideration the bearish case, or you know, to continue the range, which would be that WXY, right? Zigzag up in W, your wave X finishing right there in a triangle, and we still extend for the Y wave. From this pivot low, we want 3-wave development, right? Inside of a Y wave, regardless if it's going to be a triangle or if it's going to be a flat structure, zigzag up, zigzag down, you know, impulsive move up here to form that flat. We want 3-wave structures being developed, right? So for the moment, yeah, it is, you know, we've got a 3-wave move. Is this going to be more punchy to the upside? You know, you get that wave 4 and 5, and then your wave 4 and then 5. That would be naturally an impulsive move, right? Which is still very, very available. Or you finish here with that shallow wave 4 and then the wave 5 to finish the ABC, right? This is when we go through the lower time frame scenarios discussing this ABC movement, right? From that potential wave X end, that's where the waves look interesting here. Wave A, wave B. Do we finish a C wave move right now? Which naturally we want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could treat this as a little small shallow 4th wave, I have to say. You could actually treat this as a shallow, relatively quick, could have been a running flat right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is why, you know, even though I would be very much interested in that rejection, either at the naked point of control, which I did not enter, but or the anchored VWAP, you know, would be, you know, this is just the trade that I'm waiting for. And remaining patient, of course. You know, there's no reason to rush in, or if you move down, you're right. This is the thing. I couldn't care less if the price moves down here. I'm not going to short here. I want my level to be hit. One of them was hit. Naked point of control. Anchored VWAP is more juicy. I would prefer the anchored VWAP to be hit, really. So we're going to wait patiently for that scenario. Possibility here. Wave A, wave B. You got your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Relatively quick-ish when you do zoom in on the lower time frame here. A running, kind of a cheeky running flat here was possible, where you have this, and then this. That could have been your wave 4 right there, and now you're just finishing your wave 5. Yeah, I would say it's very much a possibility here. If this is going to be a 3-wave structure from this pivot, you don't want to go much higher. You don't want to, from this one or this one, doesn't really matter. You don't want to really go to 74.3 because that's going to be more like wave 3 territory. So preferably the price does reject here at this 73.5, maybe stretches to 74k to get that anchored VWAP and then rolls over. But yeah, at the end of the day, for the bearish case scenario, we want this to be a 3-waver and then the price really rolling over here throughout the next coming days. So this is where we are at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Finishing the 5th wave here. Or do we get 1, 2? This is still part of the 3rd wave, just because this is a bit shallow. And the wave 4 is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more shallow, and then takes out the high and forms that fake out. So we can have a completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't really matter, in which exact wave we are in. This is the zone to fake out, basically, right? It's the fake out territory. If it does break out and maintains above the level, I have to say that the wave 3 is getting developed, right? At the end of the day, it all depends on how you react at the certain levels. If we were to get that continuation up above this level of resistance, I have to say we don't have that much resistance above 74k territory, guys. There is not that much of resistance. When we do take a look at this range, yeah, the highest volume node is coming in at 78k territory, so there's not much resistance in this zone. Value area low, that's at 73.9k. Yeah, literally 74k territory is where you want to see the fake out. So if we maintain above the anchored VWAP, I have to say I'm not interested in the short. Anchored VWAP is going to be my guideline here. Anchored VWAP will be my guideline. You stay above it, I have no short interest. We wick it, get beneath it. That's the moment where I'll be attempting either the failed breakout of the anchored VWAP, or, as I mentioned, you get a shallow pullback and the double top is going to be interesting here. Because this is what happened as well back in that big rejection that we got at 98k. Let me just get some levels out of the way here. From that anchored VWAP of all-time high, on the lower time frames, it was a little bit choppy. We did create a internal double top. Okay, when you go through the 15-minute time frame, we did form a little bit of a double top, as you can see here, just under 98k. So we did reject from the anchored VWAP. If you got into a trade here, say that you put stop loss just above the high, this is a zone where I'm interested in double tops, guys. It's just you understand that you are in upside momentum, but you're coming into major resistance. So yeah, maybe the first rejection fails, but then the other one is the one that succeeds as the rejection. So I'm happy here to attempt 1 or 2 times, if we do get that double top, because I know how the price action wants to trick you and feeling like it's a breakout, right? Move up, reject, oh, we're back above, then it double tops and then it nukes, right? So this is really the zone to attempt these double top scenarios. There's no doubt about it. So at least for me anyway, it's super simple to manage risk on these kind of setups as well, right? If you do get that rejection, your stop loss is above the high of the wick. This might be a 10, it might be a 20 to 1 risk reward. Super easy to manage, right? You get that rejection, boom, 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 protect position, It can do whatever it wants now. So if it comes back up, stops me out at break even, boom, you know, I'm ready for that double top situation, entry, stop loss. You know, if it does get that movement, protect position. It is the zone for the attempts, without a doubt. So getting a little bit of an internal bounce at the moment. It would be nice to get that anchored VWAP hit. We're coming up right now. Let me go through the comment section, see what the legends are saying. Need to give a shout out to Devil. There was an SFP attempt today, which was successful, because at the end of the day, what we do is protect position. You SFP. If you don't SFP successfully, then you know you protect position literally. We did swing failure pattern. We did get that movement down of around about $800 from that swing failure pattern. Always easy to protect position. If it gets stopped out, then that's it, right? Shout out to Devil, who's in the trading community, providing the updates today. I'll be doing the updates tomorrow and see what's going on. Obviously, we are in swing attempt territory. Okay, it is definitely a swing attempt territory, and we'll be updating inside of the trading community, of course, throughout the next coming hours between today and tomorrow, also about the situation here, if any swing short is taken. Okay, if you are interested in that, make sure to send me a DM down below, okay, to join the Telegram trading community. You got the links down below, of course, of the exchanges. If you do sign up, do a minimum deposit for your own trading, either Bluffin, BTCC, you will be getting a few months for free inside of the trading community. All right, let's go through the comment section. We've got a few people here on the stream today, and make sure to smash up the like button. Let's talk about here. I don't want to miss this anchored VWAP touch. I'll tell you what, we'll set an alert here, just in case I'm distracted with the comment section. We are coming back up here, so it would be nice to see that anchored VWAP tapped. Let's go through comment section. I can see I got a couple of super chats. Much love to everybody. Liberty, Nitrous, Andy Sir, that blue line EMA, what is it? How do I get it? That on my chart, please. Thank you. You're very welcome. It's the anchored VWAP. Okay, anchored VWAP. You can find it here on the 4th tab. All right, and you can see right there, anchored VWAP. You need the pro version, of course, of TradingView. If not, I think, yeah, fixed volume profile and anchored VWAP is with the pro version here. 4th tab on the left, anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP should be taken from a major pivot, okay? Lower high or higher low. You can't take anchored VWAP from all of the pivots, okay? It needs to be from a higher time frame major pivot, either lower high or higher low. Let's go through comment section, see what the legends are see. I can see Path Maria Vallejos is around. Much love to you. Just saw your comment here somewhere, and I recognize you. I got in position protected already. Yeah, we like to protect position very, very much. Manage risk. Hit the like button. Legends, A Trader, much love. Andy Sir, the blue line EMA, what is it? Yeah, it's anchored VWAP. Much love to you. Thanks for the super chat. Which point is that anchor from, please? That is from the 2nd major pivot lower high, right? We got the all-time high pivot, which we did get rejected very strongly here, right? And remember, it's a guideline. If price trades above the anchored VWAP and it breaks successfully, I will not take any short position. It needs to get the reaction rejection. Local double tops are fine here at the anchored VWAP. If it does not double top and price breaks out, I will no longer be interested in the short position. It's all about how you manage your trade, not if you're right or wrong. You need guidelines. For me, the anchored VWAP is going to be a guideline. If it breaks it, there's no short to be taken. Okay? But, you know, naturally, you know, we are at that zone where the price either breaks and pumps up a few $1,000s, or it rejects strongly here, right, at this 74K region. And it's all good and nice to catch the high, but my guideline right now is the anchored VWAP. You break above it, I'm not interested, guys. We're just going to have to see how the price develops throughout the next couple of days, getting exhausted, right? If it ends up being that wave 3 to the upside, then we're going to have to wait for the exhaustion in the next coming days. Hang on a minute, let me go to the 1 hour time frame here. So yeah, as explained, if it does end up breaking up, volume starts increasing here, I need to start, you know, considering either this being a wave 1, as explained on the first scenario, or a wave 8, and this being either your wave 2 or your wave B. I'm going to give, you know, for the bearish case scenario, naturally, well, that wave, you know, that wave C needs to have a 5 wave move to the upside. There's a few ways on how to count this. You can fit a cheeky running flat here, but there's also the scenario that was explained yesterday: 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, right? You get your 4 5 4 5. You end up breaking up anchored VWAP. You get that shallow retracement in your wave 4, and then the wave 5 to finish your 3 wave, your 3rd wave, or your C wave. So this could be taking a bit of time. If you break above it, you do not swing failure pattern successfully for the bearish case scenario that was explained. We're going to have to wait a little bit patiently here to see that exhaustion. It would be a zone where it's going to kind of double, triple top with the upside momentum. That's the moment you realize that you're getting exhausted. But this is if you break above the anchored VWAP successfully. I'm going to remain a little bit patient for that swing short position if it is going to be a C wave, A, B, C. If it is going to be bullish, then instead of a C wave, it's a 3rd wave, and you just get that, you know, shallow retracement and then another push to the upside, right? Corrective structure, and then move back up. We're gonna have to see here how we develop, right, and how we break up this zone where there is resistance, because it is true that you could be developing a wave 3 here. I know it doesn't look like it. Seems like volume is low. It looks tricky, but that's what the market makers want to make you believe, right? It looks bullish. It looks tricky. It's moving up. It's breaking, right? Because here you had something similar into the anchored VWAP. You move up, boom. You know, no one doesn't want to become very bearish when you're pumping like this, right? This was literally the highs at 98, 97K zone. You're breaking the range highs. It's a breakout. You know, you kind of form that pump, rejection, and then you get another pump into the anchored VWAP. Very locally, you did form a double top just above the anchored VWAP. And you're getting above the range, right? So it is a zone that looks extremely interesting to catch the high. Now, catching the high is not for everybody. Okay, catching the high here is not for everybody. Some people can really get mixed up here on how to get into this trade. Some people would go in very heavily with a lot of leverage and a lot of capital. I'm keeping it as a chilled area, guys. You know, waiting for the anchored VWAP to be hit. I will be looking to enter a smaller position. And naturally, you know, depending on the price action throughout the next coming days, is where I would add to the position, because I'm treating it as a possible swing short trade. This high right over here that was created in January, right? When was the high here? 14th of January, we got to almost 98K here. How long did it take to get down to 80K? Literally took about 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks to get down here. So, you know, just with that theory, you know, it could take a couple of weeks. If this ends up being a 3-wave corrective structure, it could take 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, maybe 3 weeks, all depending on if we continue the range and then move down, or if it's a very aggressive move to the downside, right? And then we end up breaking like that in an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We get below 60K. It's going to take a bit of time, and it's treated as a swing trade, right? It's not a quick trade. And that's basically similar, just to give you that example, from 98K, right, to getting down to the lows. But there's not much more that I can explain here. I mean, bullish case scenario is breaking out, guys. If we break out from the anchored VWAP, I'm really not that interested. We've got a few levels above us at 78K territory. There's a range point of control, a naked point of control. It's literally this consolidation that we do have right over here when we get the fixed volume profile. It would be an interesting SFP territory at 79.3K. When you go to the daily time frame, yeah, it's literally kind of an order block right over here. Got a bit of a block right there. 3 daily consecutive candles. If the price were to manage to stretch all the way up there, which is pretty far away at the moment, 79K, this is a very, very classic rejection point as an SFP. You're literally coming into the point of control, this value area high, and it's a liquidity grab territory, 79K basically. These lower highs are actually pretty good for that SFP attempt. That is, if things were to go crazy here and the price pumps, a few $1,000s in that wave 3, right? When we go with a bullish case scenario, that, if that wave 3 does want to get a little bit punchy here. Hang on a minute. Why are we so far away here? What's going on? Oh, there we go. If that wave 3 decides to really go skyrocket, then the next big major, that's the problem here. There's not much resistance. There is a little bit of a gap between 74K and 79K. It is true that we have the value area low from this zone, but there's very low volume. When we get the volume profile, there's not much that, volume does start, as you can see, right over here at the 79K region. There's not that much volume here, so if we do not reject at the anchored VWAP and we basically lose it, I'm telling you, I'm not interested in getting into shorts in this zone unless we get the rejection from the anchored VWAP. Any attempt from here, move up, rejection, maybe a double top, rejection. We need to reject at the anchored VWAP or the double top from the high that is created maybe between today and tomorrow. If it does not reject, I just don't have a stop loss, because the rejection is my stop loss. If you break above here, I'm just not interested. There's poor volume. This is a dangerous territory, understanding the bullish case, where if this is a wave 1, wave 2, and you have a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? 1, 2, or 1, 2 and multiple 1, 2s, and the third wave is going to pop out here very aggressively. It's not a zone to play around with short positions, right? Adding to the short, it's going to reject at some point. No, it's none of that. You either reject from the zone or you don't. If you don't, then you would just continue up. I wouldn't play around here just because of the lack of volume and lack of confluence. So just something that to be very clear here, guys, right? Very, very clear on. You either reject. If you reject, you got a stop loss. If you don't reject, holy smokes, how far is this going to go? There's not much confluence here. The bigger confluence starts at really 79K territory, which, I would really treat this zone as either SFPs from the naked point of control or the range point of control. We've got 78.2, 78.7. If not the SFP from the highs right there. This would be a classic SFP range, the wick highs here. of all of this resistance that you have as a liquidity grab. I wouldn't expect the price to get up all the way up there. Like, you know, if you break anchored VWAP, but who knows, maybe things can get very, very punchy here. But this would be a pretty solid zone to treat as SFP territory. So yeah, little rejection that we've had at the naked point control, but it seems like we're back up. Price is pumping. Let's see how we develop here, the price action. Let's see if we do get a wick and attempt to break the anchored VWAP. You know, for me, it's a very interesting zone already. I would treat this as a double top territory, so there could be a quick attempt. I might take two trades here, one for a aggressive scalp and one for the swing short. Okay, aggressive scalp would be going in a little bit more aggressive with capital here for a double top, just for a quick scalp, just for a quick profit. And the other one would be more as a small position, give a bit of room for stop loss, and, you know, maybe add to the short position in the next coming days on signs of weakness. But yeah, we're coming up. Do we break out successfully or do we not, guys? Let me know in the comment section. Most of the Elliott wave theory scenarios have been covered, really. Bullish one is that we do break out and, you know, volume starts increasing. This ends up being a wave 1, 2, and you have your wave 1, 2, 3, and you just squeeze out here in a major breakout. You know, if you break out here with high volume, then it should be wave 3 that we are looking at here from this point 1, 2, 3. If you were to reject from this point anchored VWAP, yeah, we covered the other bearish scenario. So a shallow pullback here is possible, and then create another move up. Then from this pivot, where it could be the WX 1, 2, sorry, AB. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for your C wave. AB. Yeah, this is basically for the larger WXY. Yeah, all of the scenarios have been covered in the first hour of the stream, basically. Of you know, all the Elliott wave scenarios. Bullish one, breakout, and a wave 3. Bearish one, A, B, and C, where you have a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So, you know, a shallow pullback here in a wave 4. If you do not overlap this pivot, it could still very much be that ABC scenario. Okay, so this might be confusing for a few, but if it does get that rejection in this zone, this is where you might get late shorters entering the market. Right, it's just not a good idea, especially if this does turn into a three-wave structure where you can identify it as corrective likely. There's a problem right there. If you don't short the first rejection at major confluence, you know, if people want to, you know, you see the rejection throughout today and tomorrow, and then people are like, I'm going to short now, and, you know, stop loss at the high. What you don't realize is that you could still form that 5-wave move up here in that ABC. From this pivot higher low. Remember, there could be a running flat here or multiple 1-2s, doesn't really matter. You need that pretty steep 4th wave without overlap from this pivot. If it does overlap, then a diagonal, ending diagonal could be a possibility. Yeah, but, you know, I would be extremely interested if we do get that rangy pullback situation here, overlapping or not this pivot, because if it does, it might be an ending diagonal, but then taking out the high in the coming days would be a very, very good double top attempt, And you need the double top, of course. So you need that, after getting the movement to the upside here, you need the rejection beneath the pivot high that has been created, say today. You need that rejection here, because the rejection is going to be your entry point, and stop loss is going to be the high. So, I mean, not you, I'm talking for myself here for that trade setup. So it's not about shorting the pump, because it might be a fifth wave in that ABC. I need the rejection to have an invalidation, which would be the fake out high of this fifth wave. So that's something that I would be paying attention to. And remember, this is for a major swing, guys. This is the kind of trades that I'm looking for weeks to, to basically get into an epic trade. That, because then it might be a month till I not get into my next big trade, right? Just like the short that was taken a few weeks ago, even a couple of months right now, which was the rejection from 98k, and understanding that this is like the last ticket zone. This is likely corrective, regardless if it was a flat or a triangle, or we understood that this is likely correcting here, and our next stop has high probability to be sub 80k. The situation right now, for example here, is, I get into a smaller short trade on a possible rejection at the anchored VWAP or a local double top, which looks very interesting, and then, add confidently on the next information that is provided on the rejection, because the overall target would be this one, and this is the trade of the month that I want to get into. Of course, there's no rush. I need to, we need to hit resistance. We need to reject from the resistance, anchored VWAP in this case. I understand that a shallow pullback is very possible, because if it is going to be an ABC, we do have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You need a 5-wave move in your C wave, double top. That's my entry, stop loss. And then, looking for the strong rejection naturally for the next coming weeks. So interesting. We need a little bit of more information. I need the price to hit the anchored VWAP. But there's a couple of ways on how the price could develop still. If we get that shallow retracement, preferably without hitting this pivot, just to have a pretty solid impulse. If it does, a ending diagonal is without a doubt an option for that C wave ABC. Still same scenario, double top, right? Wick above the pivot, the high here that has been created, and the short is entered here, stop loss at the high. Still the same scenario, regardless if there's overlap here or not, if you then take out the high. If we break out above this level, then we go to higher prices. There's no short to be taken, right? So that's another thing. So we're coming up here. Coming up into that anchored VWAP. It wants to attempt to break it up. Yeah. I would assume, if you did get into that naked point of control rejection, this has to be a stop loss at break even naturally. If you entered that swing failure pattern, I'm going to get into one as a scalp and also another one as a swing trade. Only if we take out the highs, only if we get to the anchored VWAP, and only if we get the rejection. If it breaks above it, then no trade is taken. Always managing risk, as always. And let's see what happens. I like the dancing price action that is forming here. Very choppy, very wicky. At resistance. Let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful legends that especially have joined now throughout the next 30 minutes. Much love to everybody. Thanks for joining, smashing up that like button. Let's see how many likes we do have. I'm just going to get a drink 3 minutes of my cup of tea that's actually cold right now. 200 likes. That's awesome, guys. Much love. Let me just get a drink on this. And let's see if we can get the like button to 300 likes. That would be absolutely awesome. And I'll be back in a jiffy. Absolutely awesome. That like button is going up. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. Let's say hello to the legends. I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A session here. I've got the alert set, by the way, just in case we're distracted. I'm distracted here with the comment section. We might just wick above that level. Now, it's very likely that we do take out those highs. We got very, very close. We hit the 0.88. Very unlikely that this is going to be a wave 1, wave 2. I think we're going to hit those highs on stream. And let's see if we do get either the rejection. Okay, maybe back up later on. But overall, if it breaks up, it breaks up. I don't have much resistance above this level. Of course, there's a combination of different order blocks, but it's not a major. Previous month low is sitting at 75.6. Previous month low. That is the low from February, I would assume. Yes. No, wait, hang on a minute. My bad. Yeah, I didn't change the monthly levels actually. Let me just double check. Yeah, because we entered into the week, I was traveling. Yeah, the monthly levels have not been changed. So that is not it. We don't have any monthly levels from the previous candle close to us. Yeah, my bad. It's just got the monthly started. The month did start when I managed to just about get out from Dubai after all, you know, the chaos was starting. Okay, let's go through the comment section. I've got the alert right there. More internally on the lower time frame. Volume not increasing that much. Right, we're going to come up. We're going to take out. We're going to hit that anchored VWAP. Let me just double check here on. Let's just go with Bybit on another higher time frame exchange and check the anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP on Bybit is slightly higher, which is disturbing. But yeah, on Bybit we did not hit the anchored VWAP from all-time high here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, on some future exchanges, there's actually a little bit of losing my voice here. There's actually a little bit of difference. I like to use Coinbase on spot, really, because that one was hit at 98k from all-time high. Anyway, I want to go through the comment section here, guys, but just looking at this pivot high, see how it reacts. Does it break or does it fake out? Anyway, the alert is set, so I should be getting I'll tell you what, I'll leave a chart here on the sides and we can go through the comment section and see what's going. Hello Andy, I am from India. Much love to you, Vikas. Butterfly harmonic formed. Sometimes it needs a couple of attempts. It definitely does. Sometimes, as mentioned, you know, local double tops here do look interesting at resistance at the anchored VWAP. Sometimes it is what it is, right? We had the anchored VWAP as explained here. When we do take a look at the lower time frame, we did form a little bit of wicky momentum, a little bit of a double toppy situation at 97k territory, almost hitting 98k. It got above, it got beneath, and then it got above again. It formed that double top, and then there was no looking back. There was no looking back at that anchored VWAP. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, time for comment section. Let's go. Let's go. On Binance, it's on 73.5. People checking the anchored VWAP from 98k on different exchanges. Yeah. Also, okay, that's good. Very similar to Coinbase, 73.6. Remember, there is a little slight difference on other exchanges of price. It might be about $50 or $100. VWAP 73.5 on Binance, says Steve. Short or long? That's a very good question. I've explained what my strategy, what I'm going to do, and of course, you do you, I'll do myself. I'm just sharing a little bit of what I'm looking what to do. Okay, and water or some tea, my man, a good old English breakfast tea. It's cold now. I've only got a little drop left. Saludos, Andy, desde Orlando, Florida. Absolutely awesome, Donnie. Keep it up. You guys do a great job. Thank you very much, my man. We just obviously, analyze the charts and figure out what is the next zones, next levels. I'm a little bit more of a higher time frame. I have been doing so throughout the last year. I'm a little bit of a boring trader. I used to be a scalper before, but not very much into scalping, just because, when you do reach certain level of, of money, then, swing trading and being more chilled is the way to go. So the Y actually ended up as a regular flat. Ash, a Y wave ended up as a regular flat. What is, I don't know where exactly you are pointing out that Y wave ended as a regular flat. I'm not sure which Y wave you're talking about here. I moved out from Dubai, yeah, went back to Spain. Dubai is not made for me. So been there a couple of years, met some awesome people, not so great people, and I just couldn't feel it. Way happier here in Spain, in my hometown, friends and family. You get the deal, right? Money isn't everything. Saving in tax is not everything. So just wasn't feeling it. After 2 years, realized that, I don't want to have kids there. I don't want to be there much longer, and just took the decision to move out. Luckily, 2 days before, we had a little bit of the hassle going on there right now. Still got my car there in a dealership. It hasn't been sold. It's probably going to be difficult to sell at the moment, but anyway, it doesn't matter. No need. We'll just be patient. Also, I'm not sure if the housing market got a little dip. Might have done, maybe a little bit. I don't think so. Depends if things escalate or not. Hopefully it's not going to escalate and things are just going to be fine throughout the next coming days and we finish all of this. But it's, what can we say? May we use your airbase? Yeah. Nowhere's better like home. Sunshine, that is totally true. Nowhere's better than home. That is totally true. All of the people, well, not all of them, but most of the people that I've been hanging around in Dubai and met, lots of them don't say that they're going to stay forever. That that all of them are like that. We're going to be here for a few years, either 5, either 3, either 10, either lots of them have an end date. Being in Dubai, but Dubai is built on sand and will return to the sand. Yeah, Swift. Yeah. This is the thing, right? They're in the boom at the moment. So US has been in the boom, Europe's been in the boom, and apparently it's some Middle East countries now are in the big boom. So the big booms don't last forever. That is true. Andy, do you believe we break below 60k again? Yeah, I do believe that this is not the low of the bear market. you know, if that is the main question, right? Do we visit below 60K again? Absolutely. You know, I do believe so. This for this to be the low, it's unlikely. Obviously getting a larger relief pump, it's natural, of course it is. But I personally don't think that this is the low of the bear market. Okay, you know, one reason why is considering the 4-year cycle theory, right? It's only been a few months from the top. When we consider 4-year cycle theory, we should have topped out in Q4 of 2025, which we did. And usually a bear market lasts a year, considering the previous cycles. Nothing has changed. People think that the 4-year cycle theory is broken, but we haven't. You know, a lot of people are thinking about the 4-year cycle theory is broken, you know, even at mid 2025. There's no reason. We peaked out where we had to peak out. That's Q4 of 2025. We moved down aggressively into Q1 of 2026. Bear market 4-year cycle theory. Nothing has changed really. Considering the structure that we got to the downside, for this to be the low of the bear market doesn't make sense. When we consider Elliot wave theory, of course, and we go with the rejection from all-time high, there are two main scenarios. One of them is you have an impulsive move down. Okay, 5-wave move down, as you can see right over here. Hang on a minute, we'll switch to Coinbase. Okay, we'll switch to Coinbase and clear up the chart here 1 second with all the levels. Two main scenarios here. On why I believe that the low is not in for Bitcoin. And, you know, from here we go to all-time high, right, in the next coming months. One of the main reasons is the movement down from all-time high. So we got the move down, very aggressive, the bounce lower high, and then this aggressive move down, and then this rangy bounce, and then this move down. So when we do see the waves here, there's a 5-wave move down for the moment, right? If that is going to be the case, the bullish scenario would be that this is an ABC flat. You know, is it possible that you have an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave in that impulse, right? And then we go up from here. You know, I have to say that, is it possible? Possible it is, but I think it's unlikely situation here that this is the end of the, hang on a minute, we're hitting the, we're getting above the anchored VWAP at the moment. Anchored VWAP being hit, but no rejection as of yet. Just trading above it. Yeah, anyway, going back through the daily time frame. Yeah, we're trading above it. I've got the other chart here on the lower time frame to see if there is any rejection. Bullish case scenario is that we have an ABC flat and off we go in the next coming months to all-time high. I do not believe that is going to be the case. This was a good moment to buy some spot Bitcoin. I did actually buy some spot Bitcoin even when we were losing 80K. And as we got this big aggressive drop down to the low 60K region, you know, it's a good zone to buy some spot Bitcoin for the long term. So I did decide to get some spot Bitcoin here, without a doubt. We're just trading above that pivot, above the anchored VWAP. Still trading above it. Still trading above the anchored VWAP. Just about. It could be a, yeah. Also, it could be a double, triple toppy zone. Could get a bit wicky. We're literally just at the anchored VWAP. Rejecting from it right now, ever so slightly. Does it want to reject on this first attempt? Probably, I would say it's a valid already for a... It's not wanting to. Anyway, it's literally there. Could treat it as a quick scalp short. But yeah, it's not wanting to reject. It's not wanting to reject from it. Trading above it at the moment. Yeah, popping out. No rejection. No rejection from the anchored VWAP as of yet. It did not reject successfully. Anyway, it is the 5-minute time frame, so let's give it a little bit of space here. Let's give it a little bit of room, a little bit of time. But it's not rejecting at the moment. Might be on the hourly candle. It's not on the 5-minute for the moment, so trading above it. No interest as of yet. It might pop out. It might pop out here. Anyway, let's see in the next coming minutes. It's not doing so on the 5-minute. Okay, so covering the daily time frame here. On we might just get that rejection in the coming minutes from the anchored VWAP, guys. Anyway, higher time frame. Sorry about that. I was just distracted here with the lower time frame. Looks like it wants to get that rejection now. I'm going to get into two here. One as a swing, one as a scalp. The session VWAP is probably quite low from here. I would treat this as a double, triple toppy zone as well. So if you do not reject successfully, would treat a double top here also. If you start breaking out with a bit of volume, then if there's no double top, then we just go higher, right? It's not a zone that I would be adding to the short. If you break above the anchored VWAP successfully with a candle, I do not want to be in that short position, basically. Anyway, higher time frame scenarios still, let's cover them. If this were to be the end, of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, naturally considering the 4-year cycle theory, what we would have is, in my opinion, very likely an A wave to the downside. Okay, what in my opinion very likely here, if this is a 5-wave move down, if it were to be the end of the 5th wave, or if this is the internal 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5, we still got one more low to finish the 5th wave. So 5th wave could have been here, or we still form the 5th wave in the next couple of weeks. That's based on the internal price action, right? Because this could be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5, right, in the next coming weeks. It could still be the 5th wave. Could this be the 5th wave? Yes, I don't like it too much, but it could. You could have a very shallow, small fourth wave here, as you can see. Not the best, but overall it would be an expanding fifth wave. It is kind of valid, but if this were to be the impulsive move, if this is the correct count, okay, in that impulse, then considering the 4-year cycle theory, I would really label this as your wave A, and then get that corrective bounce in a wave B to then move down again in an impulse for that wave C. In this case, it does have the potential of going down to 50k or even 40k. This would take many months to develop, of course, all the way to the end of this year, basically. We got a pretty sharp rejection in the end from the anchored VWAP. A little bit of a sharp on the lower time frame. Not much. And can be defensive here. If it moves down quick, then that's all great. If it shallow moves, another double top here is going to be the name of the game. At least for me, guys. I'm talking about myself here. But yeah, it would be nice. Anchored VWAP touched in the end. It would be nice to start seeing price dropping aggressively from this point. Let's see. So let's go, with the other scenarios on the higher time frame. Sorry, it's just someone did ask about, do I think 60k is the low? And I want to cover a little bit of the higher time frame perspective at this point. But it's rejecting. Andy, the lower time frame looks good. Yes, it does. We are rejecting at the moment. Would be nice to get that strong rejection from here. If it decides it wants to form a higher low and it dances around, I'm happy to give another attempt here. I'm happy for another attempt as a double top. The price does not want to break out successfully from this 74k region, really, because of the lack of resistance that we do have, the lack of confluence that there is, as explained. Just even looking at the volume profile is not great. We don't have much levels here. Considering daily point of controls, it's a bit of a no man's land. Low volume. So really here's the double triple toppy zone. If it is going to reject strongly, if it forms a higher low here very locally on the lower time frames, then and gets back up to the highs, then it's another double top attempt, right? It would be nice to see in the next coming minutes and even next coming hours that this actually starts rolling down very aggressively. Then we can run a free trade, basically. Run a free trade. I say we, but I'm talking about myself here. Remember that none of my content is financial advice videos or live streams, guys. You do yourself, I'll do myself. And if you like the analysis, then subscribe, smash up the like button. So going with the higher time frame scenarios, there's nothing much we can discuss on the lower time frame, guys. It's all been explained. Anchored VWAP, if we don't reject, if we double triple top again, then it's another attempt that I'm looking at. There's just really not much to discuss anymore. Let's see if it does. If it doesn't, then be defensive. And what can we say? Not much to discuss. Okay, so higher time frame. If this ends up being an impulsive move down, I would really want to label this as a wave A, as explained. You form that B wave corrective structure throughout the next coming months, and then you look for the I would be looking for the impulsive down, and with finally getting below $50,000, which I would think, would be coming down to the bear market lows. Naturally an ABC, a higher time frame ABC movement, okay, is what, if this is the correct count, is what I would be looking at here inside of this bear market. This doesn't need to be as aggressive. It doesn't need to get to 100k. It might not. It's all about understanding if it is a corrective bounce throughout the next coming months. But this is one scenario that I would kind of be in favor of when we discuss somebody asking here, do I think that the price revisits 60k or not? I think so. And this is one reason. 4-year cycle theory is a reason. We should be bottoming out at the end of the year, potentially October, if it is going to be an exact year, such as the previous cycles, because on the previous cycles, when we do take a look at the time from the high to the low, it was almost exactly 1 year. So we peaked out in November of 2021. We bottomed out in November of 2022. Previous cycle, very similar timing as well. December 2017, December 2018. So based on the timing, I would say that this would not be the bottom. Okay, that's one reason. And when we do consider Elliott wave theory, if this is the correct count for a 5-wave structure, being the low in here or form one more low and then the 5 is here, then I would be expecting a corrective bounce throughout the next coming months to then only form an impulsive move down to finish that ABC. One other way of looking at it, bullish case scenario, is that you form an ABC flat, which I'm not in favor of, but who knows, right? Maybe this is the low. Maybe it would be an ABC flat, 4-year cycle theory broken, and off we go to all-time high for the end of the year. I am not in favor of that scenario, but who knows? It might be. Another way of looking at this on the higher time frame is we see this movement to the downside from all-time high to this pivot low as a 3-wave structure, which can be counted as an ABC. However, your B wave would be either a running flat or a WXY, which is a sideways correction. So you can clearly find an impulse here. There's a bit of sideways choppiness and overlap here. As it is a 3-waver, you can combine a WXY here. And you can combine, running flat doesn't look that great. I would favor a WXY. We ain't going to go through the counts. It's not needed on the lower time frame. And then you can clearly find an impulsive move in this structure from the B wave. So that would be a 3-wave move down. When we consider a WXY on the higher time frame, this would be a 3-wave down in a wave W. Okay, so that would be a wave W right there. This 3-wave WXY in your wave X. And right now we've only got a pretty solid move down as an impulse. So we're lagging here from one more wave, right? Do we create this? This would be your wave A in the most bearish case as a double zigzag. You still need this to be a longer corrective structure throughout the next coming weeks eventually to form an ABC. So another ABC down basically, but literally a little bit of more timing here for this correction, and then the C wave down to form your Y wave with the potential of going below 50k. Okay, so that's just looking for one more correction and one more low throughout the next coming months. This is what I favor, of course, with the information that we have from all-time high. Either a large ABC or either a WXY, which we just need a little bit more of a correction in this zone, and then the impulse down to finish the ABC, which would be a double zigzag. Double zigzag target is taking the top of all-time high to the low that we created here on the 21st of November to the pivot high of wave X, and the 1-to-1 to the 1-2-3-6 would be your double zigzag target, which is between 51 and 40k. So, you know, this would be just the A wave, B wave in the next coming weeks, boom, and then break down throughout the next coming months in that impulse to finish that ABC. This is like the common target zone, which is actually coming beneath these lows, which is actually it's interesting, right? I would say, you know, it's just a sweep of the lows here for the bear market low area between 50 and 40k. I would believe that that's bear market low territory if we get down there in the next coming months. So that's a little bit it here on the higher time frame when we consider Elliott wave theory. Okay, and yeah, that's basically it. This rejection right now just pretty shallow from that anchored VWAP. Pretty shallow. Let's see if we do get a little bit of steam here for the bears to push down. Yeah, I have to say, you know, this can be a little bit wicky. It can be a bit confusing. It can, you know, take out the high and then reject. The only next entry that I would be interested is if you double top here. If you don't, then higher we go. There's no other way here that I can could treat this. Where's the session VWAP? Session VWAP is very, very low. This usually acts as a magnet. So even for a day trade or a scalp, I would treat the anchored VWAP as a TP1 area if we do end up double topping in this zone. If we don't, then obviously we go higher. But if it doesn't reject from this point, and if you take out the highs again, you know, I would treat the anchored VWAP as, sorry, not the anchored VWAP, the session VWAP, because session VWAP does act as support or resistance. That is if you are beneath it. If you're treating this as a scalp day trade. Because then, you know, if you do get into that short and you literally do not take profit, if it's moved down a couple of $1,000, you know, you get that bounce from the session VWAP and then it takes out the high. You know, if you're already in some decent profits, you know, it's one of those that you say, why didn't I take profit, right, at the session VWAP, if you're treating it as a scalp. If not, if you get above again into the anchored VWAP and it breaks out, stop that break even, it's another day. If you double top, then I will enter again, protect position till it actually moves down, till it actually nukes, right? But ultimately, double triple top is always nice to get into the trade and you know, be defensive at these rejection, you know, confluent zones. Let's go right away. Yes, short. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not the greatest entry, but overall did scratch a bit of profit already. Anchored VWAP rejection. Looking to, yeah, it's coming up. It is a valid short entry as explained throughout the stream. It might get stopped out. But overall covered the fees. And I will attempt another double top here if it does. But anchored VWAP rejection has been the overall plan here of the stream. I didn't get into the short here because we front runned it. The only one I would attempt is hitting the anchored VWAP if we do move back up, stopped out. And I would attempt again another rejection here. If it breaks out, there's no short. There's no short if it breaks out. The short is only on the rejection of the guideline, right? You need to treat these levels as a guideline, because if you don't, then you're just going to add to the short, or it's going to roll over at some point. I'm just adding to the short and all of that BS, guys. Don't trade like that, because you know, at the end of the day, it's a full recipe to get wrecked. I mean, you can do whatever you want, of course. I'm just trading based on my experience. Let's go through the comment section and see what's going on. Section VWAP. Yeah, the anchored VWAP. You can find it here on the left. A lot of people have been asking about this. Fourth tab on TradingView on the left. You click it and you have anchored VWAP in the middle here. Fixed volume profile. And, you know, anchored VWAP did get rejected. All-time high anchored VWAP did get rejected here at 98k. So, you know, is this going to be the same? History does not need to repeat. Anchored VWAP should be taken from major pivots, highs, or major pivot lows. This is good for an anchored VWAP. This is good for an anchored VWAP. This is good for an anchored VWAP. All-time high is good for an anchored VWAP. You can't get an anchored VWAP from every single pivot. Okay, this is not valid. Only the session ones, or on the higher time frame, major pivot, higher lows, or higher or lower highs, right? Anyway, let's go through comment section. We're literally at it. We can see how we only got above it very slightly, huh? So it might double top. We might get back up above it, and it might fail later on. Then I would have to give it another attempt. We did move up from the anchored VWAP here about almost $800 to $900, and then got the rejection. We only moved up about $100 to $200 here, not even that. So you do have a little bit of space here to get above it and fail on the higher time frames. We're just getting very selective right now with the lower time frame one, but I'm very much aware of that. This is why, you know, I'm explaining that it could come back up in the next hour or 2 hours and double top, right? And if it breaks above, I will not be in the short. I've explained a few of the other Elliott wave scenarios as well, because if this ends up being a ABC 3-wave structure, you have the possibility of a wave 1, wave 2 here in a running flat. It is possible. I actually prefer the multiple 1-2s here, and then the 3, 4, 5. But if we were to get a shallow consolidation in this territory between today and tomorrow as a rejection, I would really consider that double top here on the higher time frame, because what I would be looking for is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It could push up about $1,000 above anchored VWAP, even $2,000. But I would then treat this as the swing. I would really treat this as the swing if that is the case. In a C wave of a zigzag, you want a 5-wave move. This might be the pattern that actually forms. A wave, B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throughout the next couple of days. We're just going to have to see. And maybe this is the higher time frame double top that I'm looking for, and that's the one that really starts rejecting in the coming weeks. The bullish case scenario is that you break out, right? You break out. Anchored VWAP is my guideline. Anchored VWAP for this swing short is my guideline. If you break above, then I have to favor the bullish case, which is a 1, a 2, and you're just building 1, 2, 3, right? 3 is not even finished yet. If it pops out and volume increases, right, and it goes to, you know, 75, 78k, who knows, right? Wait, if it punches out, I'm not interested. in the short. So then I would just have to favor, all right, you know, we might be looking at an impulse here, which I wasn't favoring in the last week, okay, because of the length of the wave 2 here, the timing, right? This is like 5-6 times longer than this wave 1. Not great for a wave 2, preferably for a wave B or a wave X, okay? They can be longer in time than your A wave or your wave W. But if it is the case, then it is the case. What can we do? If it breaks above, then I have to go with, okay, it's probably an impulse. So we're just going to have to see. Anyway, let's go through comment section. 576 viewers, only 272 likes. Of course, guys, I will be updating with this trade or the next trade inside of the trading community. I know Devalt has been very active today. Today is the day for Devalt. He's, if you don't know who Devalt is, he does the morning updates. He is a coach inside of the trading community. It's your chance right now, guys, to get access inside of the trading community. All right, send me the word access and we'll give you all of the information for you to join inside of the trading community. That's if we're not on YouTube, we are there giving the updates, the possible scenarios, where we are looking for trading opportunities, such as myself and Devalt. Super simple to join. You sign up with one of the affiliate links down below, do a minimum deposit for your own trading, and we'll get you inside of the trading community on the Telegram. That's if we're not on YouTube, we're always providing updates there on the possible movements. Okay, so just send me a DM down below. Access to the Telegram, guys. Timo, much love. Thank you for joining. Steve, Binance just tapped all-time high VWAP. Okay, Binance tapped all-time high VWAP. Anchored VWAP, I guess. Andy, 4-hour Elliot wave. We are still on third wave. I think fifth wave and around 76k, and then third wave 74k. I'm not sure if I'm yeah, I mean, as explained, it is very much possible. You know, this could still be the third wave regarding either the ABC or either the 1, 2, 3, right? And we just continue going up. You know, 1, 2, or either 1 and 2 running flat. If this is a 1, 2 and this is a double 1, 2, this could get very punchy, because then you're literally looking for 4, 5, 4, 5, then the 4, and then another 5, and you ending up forming an impulse throughout the next couple of weeks here. It just breaks out. Anchored VWAP back tested as support maybe. Anchored VWAP is the guideline for me at the moment. If we're above it, I'm not interested in the short. If we start, you know, getting rejected from it, form a shallow fourth wave here, boom, 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 then the fifth wave, then it's game on. ABC looking for the rejection in the coming weeks. Anchored VWAP is my guideline at the moment for me. If we trade above it, I will see strength. I will see the possibility for that wave 3 to continue. If we start rejecting, forming some shallow pullbacks, I'm going to understand that this wave 3 has come to an end stage here, and any movement up to take out the high is likely going to be weak and will end up failing. That's how I'm seeing the charts, guys. Okay. Free or paid? It is free. You just need to sign up with one of the affiliate links. Okay, sign up with one of the affiliate links down below. A minimum deposit for your own trading, that is, and we'll jump you inside of the trading community. Just send me the word access. I'll share the instructions right away after the DM. What is wrong? Big deals. What's going on? Distance music. Much love. Is it possible? Again, the anchored VWAP is the current top from the current top, and we reject down based on Elliott wave theory. Christo, I'm not sure. Is it possible this anchored VWAP is the current top and we reject down based on anyway. Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be the current top as explained. Maybe it is the current top. Want to be aware of the possibility as well of either breaking it. Then I would be in favor of, okay, we're forming a wave 3 from here. That's a possible wave 2, maybe 1, 2, 3, and you just continue the momentum. Then 4 and 5, right, to finish that 1, 2, 3, and then another 4 and another 5. If it has to reject, I mean, this is the best zone to do so. 74k range with that anchored VWAP. What can I say? Value area low here is 75.8. Yeah, I will personally not be interested in this area. You know, if I'm in a short, it's going to be below the anchored VWAP. Let me just get some. Yeah. Don't want the price to go much higher at this point. One other bearish case scenario, it was explained on the stream before, guys. It's the WXY, which is still technically possible. That would be this as wave W, your wave X finishing here, and then your Y wave. We literally get back inside of the range, right? If it does reject from here, you either form a triangle and then move down, or you form a flat. So you got the zigzag up, zigzag down, and then, you know, your 5 wave up to form your Y wave, a flat. Could still range here a little bit and get a bit confusing for a few more days, even plus 1 week. Could still get a bit rangy and a bit confusing. $300 likes, 350 likes coming soon. Absolutely awesome. A Trader, thanks for the support, my man. Much love to you. Absolutely awesome. Praying now for the rejection. Yeah, it hasn't been very much of a good rejection, guys. Only about $500, $600 from that anchored VWAP. I mean, if you're scalping, then yes, you know, it all depends on your style of trading, of course. I did treat it as a scalp and also as a swing, both scenarios. So in heavy, quick rejection, take a bit of profits and leave some open for the swing, if not stopped out at break even, and then, you know, we either double top again or we break out. If we break out, no short. If you double top, entry, stop loss, move down, give it another attempt and protect. If it breaks out and we go higher, then higher we go. I do not look for the short again in that case. Let's go through comment section, see what's going on. Dogecoin is going crazy. Don't tell me that. Dogecoin is going ballistic by the looks of things. Let's take a look at Doge right away on the chart. Why not? Nice little pump. Oh, I was saying, what the heck is that? Did you guys see that? Got a little Doge coming in. Coinbase added a little Doge logo popping out. Interesting. Yeah, Dogecoin getting a nice squeeze up here throughout today. It is up about 20%, 15%. Nice squeeze on Doge. All right, let's go. Comment section. How about that rising formation? That doggy was funny. Yeah, that little Doge. I got a fright actually. I was saying, what the heck is this? How about that rising formation, Andy? Rising formation of what? Rising formation. Praying now for the rejection, says Beth Maria Vallejos. If it rejects, it rejects. If it doesn't, what can we do? If we don't double top, then we don't double top or triple top. If we break out, I don't have a solid level here when I consider at least my levels or Fibonacci extensions. I'm gonna have to check with Devil. He's probably been doing some lower time frame stuff inside of the trading community, and maybe has some fib levels in this territory that might reject as a swing failure pattern. But when I go with the levels here, we only got, yeah, no, that wasn't it. Daily levels above us, a bit of an empty gap here. I don't have a rejection zone here, apart from the anchored VWAP. Tesla también aparece Elon. Okay, that's cool. Apparently for Tesla, you can see Elon Musk popping out as well. What do you think? How are you, mate? I'm doing absolutely great, Andre. Much love to you. Could this be a short squeeze before the mega dump? It could. It could. It could squeeze to higher levels without a doubt. It could squeeze. I mean, this has been a pretty interesting pump. I mean, it hasn't been massive. It's about a $5,000 pump, which is a medium pump from the higher time frame when we consider it. Could it be the end or not? It could be. As explained as well, it might chop, okay? This could be a chopping territory. This is why double triple tops are interesting, at least when I consider my strategy here. Look at the D anchored VWAP from the pivot. It's in a great zone with the higher time frame pivot, major pivot, low retest too. Look at the D anchored VWAP. D anchored VWAP from where? From that pivot. It's in a great zone. You have patron. D anchored VWAP. Some anchored VWAPs are higher, like Bybit perps. That is true. That is true. But I like to use Coinbase. I like to use spot. The problem with futures, we do have some extra wicks on futures. Okay. This anchored VWAP was not touched on Bybit and some other future exchanges when we did hit it here on Coinbase at 98k. Right, just under 98k. Anchored VWAP on Bybit was somewhere here. So I prefer using spot exchanges, because the futures, we had a massive wick here, right? It's just not a little bit more messy on the futures exchanges. Spot is kind of more legit on the movements, and especially Coinbase, as it's the largest one in the US, right? So anyway, legends, I'm going to wrap it up. Got my missus calling, going to go off for dinner, and I'll be paying attention here on the phone with this possible double triple toppy area, because I would not want to miss it if it does reject strongly. And depending if it does reject, then add to the position in the next coming hours, coming days. And if it breaks out, then we'll have to get out of the position. That's it, right? If we break out above the anchored VWAP, I personally do not have any quick major shorts to be taken at 74.75. Anchored VWAP is my guideline here, and above the anchored VWAP, I'll check with Devil later on to see if there is any fib extensions that he's looking at to consider as a SFP zone. Much love, everybody. Thank you very much for joining, smashing up the like button. Much appreciated. If you are interested in more, we do have myself and Devil inside of the trading community on Telegram. If you want to get access, send me the word access in Telegram. Super simple to join. Sign up with one of the affiliate links, minimum deposit for your own trading, and we'll jump you in. Thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.